Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the DC Capstone Report. It's great to be back here again this week on our podcast on Alabama football. On the first segment today, we're going to review the game against the Texas Longhorns. In our second segment, we're going to identify our players of the game. In our third and final segment, we'll preview the upcoming game against the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. Well, hello everyone. This is DC with the DC Capstone Report. Welcome you back for another week on podcast on Alabama football. Lance and I really appreciate each and every one of you who tune in and listen to us each and every week. Well, let's get right to it as we review the game against the Texas Longhorns. Let's just go ahead and say that it didn't go the way I thought it would go, folks. My prediction was 45-10, and we all know that that was not what happened in this game. Alabama comes away with a victory, 20-19 on the last second field goal from Will Reichard to win the ball game, 20-19. Let's kind of break it down a little bit and let me tell you what I think happened in this game. First of all, Texas, I believe, played a great ball game. They were prepared and well ready to play Alabama. They had the momentum on their side. They were playing at home. And I can say one thing, give Coach Sarkisian credit for, and that is I believe he has changed the culture there at Texas to where now he has the locker room believing that they can win a game. They believed they could beat Alabama, and they went out and played with a lot of passion to do just that. The second factor I think in this game that no one's really talking about is the defense of Texas was really affected by the addition of Gary Patterson, the former TCU coach. He's a defensive coach. He has a defensive scheme that really works well, and I believe he had been planning and scheming for Alabama for over 3 months, and he had a really good scheme. In that, I believe his whole scheme was to try to take away the run and try to make Alabama's receivers catch balls in tight spaces, and that's exactly what he did for a long period. Absent the one run that Jace McClellan made that gashed for the touchdown on the long run, they really did a good job of stopping Alabama on the run. On the Alabama side of the ball, I think we had some uncharacteristically bad mistakes that were made. Undisciplined penalties, I believe. We had over 100 yards worth of penalties, 15 penalties, I believe, that were accepted for 100 yards worth of penalties. And we're talking about people like Will Anderson being offsides a couple of times, and Will Anderson making a 15-yard penalty to extend the play for Texas when he knew better than to do that. Just some uncharacteristic, undisciplined play in the penalty area, and I think that really hurt Alabama. But I think there were some good things on Alabama's defensive side of the ball. Of course, Texas had the number one, what people consider the number one running back in the nation, Bijan Robinson, and they were expected to be able to pound us and have some success running the ball, but they weren't able to do that. In this particular game, we were held for 79 yards rushing. Bijan Robinson did not get 100 yards as people had said he would. As a matter of fact, he only gained 57 yards in this game. So I think Alabama did a really good job of stopping on the run that Texas had. We did give up some passing yards, 292 yards in the passing game, many of those going to Worthy, what I consider to be a great receiver. Their receiver, Worthy, has a Devontae Smith-like qualities, I think. Small build, but very, very crafty, very catching the ball in open space and extending. But we still held him for under 100 yards. But I think overall our defensive game plan was really good, and we didn't make any mistakes as far as on offense. We didn't have a fumble. We didn't have an interception. So I think that was good. So defensively, we held them, I think, the best third down efficiency we've done in quite some time. They were only 3 for 12 on third downs. What that means is they were getting off the field on third down. And I think that held them in the red zone 4 or 5 times in the red zone. Texas only scored 1 touchdown. So our defensive red zone defense was excellent in this game. And they was held to a field goal on 4 possessions. So I think overall our defense played a good game and kept us in the game enough to win the game. On offense, Absent the Jace McClellan long run, we didn't get a consistent running the ball up the middle. It seemed like they had that stopped. We didn't do a good job of running the ball or sticking to the run late in the game. Really what happened in this game, our wide receivers dropped some passes, and we couldn't stay on the field. We couldn't extend plays. And it ended up being down the line that it took Bryce Young to really have a stellar performance in the last two drives that got Alabama in positions to win the ball game on that long kick, or that kick that Will Reichard made. So overall, I think we got some improvement to make on offense, but I'm very pleased with where we were on defense. I think our third down efficiency was so good. The holding them under 100 yards rushing was really good, and keeping them out of the end zone in the red zone was really good. So I think we got a lot of good things to build on our defense, and I think we can do that and be just fine down the road. Offense, we got some things we need to clean up. But overall, coming out of Texas, hostile environment with a 20-19 victory right at the end, let us know that we didn't give up. We kept fighting, just like we did against Auburn last year. And I believe it's going to be good for us down the road. This victory in a hostile environment will get us prepared to go on the road and play some other good SEC teams that we got on our schedule. Well, here in the second segment, we're going to talk about the players of the game against Texas. And let's start with our offensive players of the game. Our offensive player of the game at first is Jace McClellan. Jace McClellan, running back, he's out of Texas. I knew he was looking to have a big game. He came in, and he did really good on that long run. He followed his blocking, off tackle to the outside, to the right, ran up and turned on the jets and raced some 81 yards into the end zone for a touchdown, which really was, we needed every point that we could get. So him being able to do that showed his speed. It showed him being able to hit the hole. And I look for some big things against Jace McClellan down the road. I really believe he had a good game against Texas because he wanted to have a good game, in that he wanted to break that run to show that he could play, being a Texas high school product, that playing for Alabama, that he made the right decision to come to the Tide. So Jace McClellan is one of my players of the game on offense. My other player of the game on offense, you can't look any further than Bryce Young. Heisman Trophy winner. He comes in this game. He has a good game. He goes 27 of 39 for 213 yards, a touchdown, and no interceptions throwing the ball. He could have had more receptions had they been able to catch some of the balls that they dropped. I think he would have done better. He extended plays with his legs on that last drive in order to get us in position to kick the field goal. And in my opinion, had a very strong performance against a really, really good Texas defense. So my offensive players of the game are Jace McClellan and Bryce Young. Well, on defense, if you look over the defense, I've already told you about how good a game they had. DeMarco Hellams, in my opinion, had the best game on defense. He had 8 tackles and 2 assists. So 10 tackles he was in on this game. And he went out with an injury and came right back in order to keep playing. So DeMarco Hellams is a hard hitter. Really good job at safety. He was matched up against some fast players in this game a couple times, made some good plays and knocked some balls away as well. But he is one of my defensive players of the game. Another defensive player of the game is Kool-Aid McKinstry, number 1. Cornerback. He had 6 tackles and 1 assist, and also was credited for a sack in this ball game. So, he played really well on the outside, matched up good against their wide receivers, broke up some passes in the end zone to hold them in the red zone. So I think Kool-Aid McKinstry is really coming into his own in that cornerback, and at least in my opinion has nailed down one. There's competition at corner, but at least he has nailed down at least one of those starting positions in my opinion. So my players of the game on defense are DeMarco Hellams and Kool-Aid McKinstry. And I can't have a player of the game without mentioning Will Reichard, our kicker. Special teams player of the game is Will Reichard. He comes in early in the game and nails a 52-yarder to get it started. And then at the end of the game, cool, with ice in his veins, after they ice him, he goes out there and makes 2 kicks. One right when they call timeout, and then lined up for the second one, and right down the middle, a 33-yard field goal to win the ball game, 20-19. So my offensive players of the game were Bryce Young and Jace McClellan. On defense, it's DeMarco Helms and Clay McKinstry. And on special teams, Will Reichard. Well, here in the third and final segment, we're going to talk about the upcoming game against the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. The Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. Well, in my opinion, we got an opportunity to clean up some things in this game. They're coming to town, going to play Alabama here at Bryant-Denny Stadium, 3 o'clock afternoon game. Looks like we're going to have perfect weather, less humidity, sunshine for the game. It's going to be a beautiful game, beautiful day to play a game. And I think in this game against the Warhawks, it's going to be special because we got Louisiana Monroe coming in here, who really in 2007 came in and did what no one thought they could do, beat Alabama in Coach Saban's first year. We got him coming in this year with a new head coach, Terry Bowden, somebody we're well familiar with as he coached at Auburn. He is going to try to do a good job and come in here. He's going to try to do everything he can to beat Alabama and shock the world. But I don't think that's going to happen in this kind of thing. I think we're going to take this game, this week of practice. I'm sure we're bunged up a little bit against playing such a hard physical game against Texas. But I believe that we're going to take this practice to iron out some things on offense. I think we're going to see a little different offense approach against Louisiana. I think we're going to be able to run the ball against Louisiana Monroe. I think we're going to be able to pass the ball, and I think we're going to try to work on our downfield passes in this game. To help set up that running game. So look for Alabama to come out and for Bryce Young to have a big day passing the ball, hopefully to get some of our wide receivers like Kobe Prentice and Burton deep in this game to make some deep plays, Trey Burton, and may have an opportunity to see some of the other players step up like Trayshawn Holden, Ja'Cory Brooks, Isaiah Bond, maybe take the ball deep in this game. So I think we come out, we play to the Alabama standard. We don't worry about who our opponent is. We play the Alabama standard. We have a common opponent. We know Texas has already played Louisiana Monroe. Texas Longhorns defeated them 52-10. We know how good Texas is, so this is a good barometer game to decide how good we are in this thing. So I think we come out and we play them well. We have some film to watch. We understand what they can do, and we play to the Bama standard. That's the main thing in this game. Will we play to the Bama standard? We got to, on defense, we've got to clean up some of the penalties that were just undisciplined mistakes we made. We can't have any mistakes in this game. We got to come out and clean those up. And we got to stop the run, make them try to pass the ball, and get them in situations where we can pressure the quarterback and get some sacks in this game. Maybe pressure into making some ill-advised throws where we can get a pick six or interception, maybe a fumble in this game. So overall, this is some people may consider an easy walkover victory. I think it's going to be a good victory for Alabama. I think it's going to be an opportunity for us to clean up some things, get some playing time for some players, and I believe we're going to be able to go in and make a statement early in this game. I see Alabama coming out, running the ball, throwing some deep passes, getting some early scores, and putting this game away early. In my opinion, Alabama comes out and wins this game 55-10. Well, that's all we have this week on the DC Capstone Report. I appreciate everyone listening in. Always be sure to go out and check Lance's other sites, RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com for some great Alabama photos and content. And this week, Lance will be at the Louisiana Monroe game. So if you're out there and you're a $1 Million Band supporter or a cheerleader supporter or a football player supporter and you want to try to get some good pictures, Lance always has some great pictures of the elephant stomp and the pregame and during the game. So watch for his pictures to be posted on RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com after this ball game. Well, until next week, this is DC with the DC Capstone Report, signing off and saying everyone a big Roll Tide.